A poor girl finds a millionaire dumped like trash, and her life changes forever. The rain came down in sheets that November evening, turning the Philadelphia alleyway into a river of forgotten dreams and discarded hope. Maya Rodriguez pulled her thin jacket tighter, the fabric doing little against the cold that had become as familiar to her as hunger. At 19, she'd learned that life didn't deal fair hands. Some people got penthouses while others got park benches. Tonight, like most nights, she was searching through dumpsters behind the restaurant district, hoping to find day-old bread or half-eaten meals that hadn't completely spoiled. Her younger brother, Carlos, was waiting back at the shelter with their sick mother, and Maya had promised him something to eat. She'd already checked 3 bins with no luck when she heard it, a low groan, barely audible above the drumming rain. Maya froze. That wasn't a cat or a rat. That was human. "Hello," she called out, her voice trembling. The groan came again, weaker this time, from behind a large commercial dumpster. Maya's heart pounded as she pulled out her phone, its cracked screen casting a dim light into the darkness. What she saw made her gasp. A man lay crumpled against the brick wall, his expensive suit torn and soaked with rain and blood. His face was swollen, bruised beyond recognition, and his breathing came in shallow, desperate gasps. Someone had beaten him savagely and left him here to die like trash. Every instinct told Maya to run. Getting involved with violence in this neighborhood was dangerous. Besides, what could she do? She had nothing, no money, no car, no way to help. But as she turned to leave, the man's hand moved, reaching out weakly, and she saw something in that gesture that stopped her cold. It was the same way Carlos reached for her when he was scared. "Please," the man whispered, blood bubbling from his split lip. "Help me." Maya's mind raced. She couldn't call 911, her phone had no service plan, only Wi-Fi. The nearest hospital was miles away, and she had exactly $3.47 in her pocket. But she couldn't leave him. She just couldn't. "Stay with me," she said, kneeling beside him, ignoring the dirty water soaking through her jeans. She stripped off her jacket and pressed it against the worst of his wounds. "I'm going to get you help. I promise." She ran to the street, frantically waving at passing cars. One after another, they drove by, windshield wipers beating a rhythm of indifference. Finally, a taxi stopped. The driver took one look at Maya, soaked, desperate, clearly broke, and shook his head. "No way, kid. I don't need trouble. Please." Maya yanked open the door. "There's a man dying back there. I have some money, and I'll give you my phone, my shoes, anything." Tears streamed down her face, mixing with the rain. "Please, he's someone's son, maybe someone's father. Please." Something in her desperation moved the driver. He followed her to the alley, helped her load the semi-conscious man into the back seat, and drove them to the hospital. Maya sat in the back, cradling the stranger's head, whispering reassurances she wasn't sure were true. "You're going to be okay. Stay with me. You're going to be okay." At the emergency room, chaos erupted. Doctors and nurses rushed the man away on a gurney while a hospital administrator cornered Maya with forms and questions about insurance. "I don't know him," Maya explained. "I found him in an alley. I just wanted to save his life." The administrator's face softened with something like pity. "That's very kind, sweetheart, but without insurance information or a responsible party." "I'm responsible," Maya interrupted. "Whatever it costs, I'll pay it back. I'll get a job, I'll work double shifts, I don't care. Just please save him." The administrator studied this skinny girl with fierce eyes and worn shoes making impossible promises, and nodded. "We'll save him regardless. But honey, you should probably go home. There's nothing more you can do here." Maya stayed anyway, sitting in the harsh fluorescent waiting room still wearing the taxi driver's emergency blanket, having given him her last $3 for the ride. Hours crawled by. She thought about Carlos and her mother, probably worried sick, but she couldn't leave. Not yet. She needed to know he'd survived. Dawn was breaking when a doctor finally emerged. "Are you the young woman who brought in John Morrison?" Maya nodded, trying the name on for size. John Morrison. The man had a name now, not just a broken body. "He's stable," the doctor said. "Thanks to you. Another hour and he wouldn't have made it. You saved his life." Relief flooded through Maya so intensely her legs nearly gave out. "Can I see him? He's sedated, but yes." "Follow me." John Morrison lay in the hospital bed looking smaller somehow, vulnerable despite the expensive watch still on his wrist. Maya stood in the doorway, suddenly unsure. "I should go," she murmured. "I just needed to know he was okay." But as she turned to leave, a nurse caught her arm. "Wait, Mr. Morrison regained consciousness briefly. He was asking about the girl who saved him. He was quite insistent we find you." Over the following days, Maya visited the hospital when she could, bringing small wildflowers she picked from empty lots. John remained mostly unconscious, recovering from a skull fracture, broken ribs, and internal bleeding. The police were investigating. Apparently, he'd been mugged by people he'd considered friends, business partners who'd decided his company was worth more than his life. On the fourth day, John opened his eyes and saw Maya sitting beside his bed, sketching in a tattered notebook. "You," he rasped. "You're real. I thought I dreamed you." Maya smiled. "I'm real. How are you feeling?" "Like I got dumped in an alley and left for dead," he said with a weak laugh that made him wince. "The nurses told me what you did." "Why? You didn't know me. I could have been anyone, a criminal, a drug dealer, anything." Maya was quiet for a moment. "When I was little, my dad used to say that we're all just people trying to make it through, and kindness is the only thing that makes the journey bearable. He died when I was 12, but I never forgot that." She met John's eyes. "You needed help. That was enough." Tears streamed down John's bruised face. "I've spent my whole life building a company, making money, surrounding myself with people I thought were friends. And when I needed help, they're the ones who put me in that alley. But you, a complete stranger with nothing, you gave everything to save me." "Not nothing," Maya said softly. "I had a choice. That's something." When John was released 3 weeks later, he asked Maya to meet him at his attorney's office. She almost didn't go, afraid he'd want to repay her and not understanding that some debts aren't about money. But she went. What happened next changed everything. John didn't just offer Maya money, though he did set up a trust fund for her family that ensured her mother got treatment and Carlos could stay in school. He did something more profound. He offered her opportunity. He put her through college, mentored her business instincts, and eventually made her a partner in his rebuilt company. But more than that, he treated her like family. 5 years later, Maya stood in her own office, vice president of Morrison Enterprises Charitable Foundation, looking out at the Philadelphia skyline. They'd built something beautiful together. A network of programs that helped homeless youth, provided healthcare to those who couldn't afford it, and trained people who'd been overlooked by society. John appeared in her doorway, no longer the broken man from the alley but not quite the same person who'd been beaten there either. That night had changed them both. "Remember when you told me kindness is what makes the journey bearable?" he asked. Maya nodded. "You were right. And you taught me something else, that how we treat each other when everything's been stripped away, that's who we really are." He handed her a plaque for the new shelter they were opening. "This one's named after your father. The Rodriguez Center for Second Chances." Maya's eyes filled with tears as she read the inscription, "Where humanity meets hope." That night in the alley, Maya had believed she was just saving one life. She hadn't realized she was saving two, and starting a ripple that would reach thousands more. Because kindness isn't just about the moment. It's about choosing to see the humanity in everyone, even when they're broken and discarded, even when you have nothing to give except your compassion. Sometimes the poorest among us are the richest in the things that actually matter. And sometimes, what looks like trash in an alley is actually a second chance, for everyone involved, to become who they were always meant to be.